A shocking credit downgrade rattles the markets. But should we really have been that surprised? All that and more now on Graph's Grievances. For just the second time in American history, a ratings agency downgrading U.S. credit and sounding the alarm about America's fiscal health. Fitch lowering the credit rating of the United States from the highest AAA rating to AA+. The move reportedly shocking Biden administration officials, including Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who just successfully handled a debt ceiling showdown with Republicans that, if not resolved, could have plunged America into an unprecedented default. So why the historic move by Fitch that resulted in a stock market sell-off and spike in interest rates for consumer-facing products? The firm citing a, quote, deterioration in governance, along with America's mounting debt. In essence, Fitch saying that the endless partisan fights in Washington over raising the debt ceiling put America at a heightened risk of defaulting on its enormous debt. That debt now more than $32 trillion. And while the U.S. has carried debt since its inception, we have never seen anything like this. America's $32 trillion in debt is more than the economies of China, Japan, Germany, and the United Kingdom combined. More troubling, the problem is only getting worse. The Congressional Budget Office projecting that the national debt will nearly double in size by 2053. There are, of course, prudent reasons for deficit spending or spending more than the government takes in, such as during a recession or a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, or even during wartime. But always spending more than America collects in revenue, especially during periods of economic growth, is not only unwise, but increasingly unstable. Borrowing money costs money. The CBO projecting that in just 6 years, America will spend more each year on interest on our debt than on national defense. All that money could certainly be better used in ways that directly benefit the American people. But do Americans care about the exploding national debt? It certainly doesn't seem like it based on the actions of their elected representatives. Despite what Republicans claim, they have done virtually nothing over the past 2 decades to address America's deficit, and have only made the problem exponentially worse. During the Trump administration, the national debt rose by almost $7.8 trillion. This representing the third biggest increase relative to the size of the economy of any presidential administration ever. But unlike George W. Bush and Abraham Lincoln, who oversaw the larger relative debt increases, Trump did not launch 2 foreign wars or have to pay for a civil war. And while some of the debt incurred under Trump was certainly necessary due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there is no justification for his tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans and corporations. Those Trump tax cuts now expected to cost America roughly $1.7 trillion by the end of this fiscal year. As for Democrats, they too have done little to address America's fiscal crisis. While it is true that President Biden has called for tax increases on billionaires and large corporations, as well as some spending cuts in the form of subsidies to big pharma, the fossil fuel industry, and the real estate industry, none of these proposals has gotten a vote. Even if most Americans do not personally feel the effects of our mounting debt right now, there is no denying that the United States has a solvency problem. And at some point, this problem will become a crisis unless Americans get together and increase revenue and reduce spending. No one will get everything they want, but America will be able to remain the strongest economy in the world. Thanks for watching Graph's Grievances. Let me know what you think, and please subscribe.